Welcome, everyone. This is our orientation day for Conchas y Café. This is the winter/spring 2023 series. And this particular 12-week series is going to be focused on the theme of censors. And we're going to talk about what it means to examine things through censorship, the lens of censorship, and what it ultimately means for our society. And to sort of, kick us off, I'll introduce myself for those of you who are meeting me for the very first time. I know there's a couple of new people here in the room. For those of you that are returning, welcome back, and just bear with me. So my name is Luis Antonio Pichardo, and I am the founder and executive director of DSTL Arts. DSTL Arts, as I call it, is a nonprofit arts mentorship organization that inspires, teaches, and hires emerging artists from underserved communities. As part of this particular workshop series, I will be one of the instructors, and I will be accompanied by Abraham Jaramillo, who just dropped the organization name in the chat there. I'll give Abraham a quick chance to introduce himself formally. The mic is yours, Abraham.
I thought you still had some more. You have a lot of background you have to cover. My name is Abraham Jaramillo. I'll be another teacher for this class. And I've been in DSTL Arts for many years already, making me feel older than I should be. But I'm a photographer, illustrator, graphic designer, poet, and podcaster, which we'll be talking about podcasts later once we have that running back again. And I'll be here for you guys if you have any questions, and especially if you have any cake, I'll be there.
Yes, if there is cake, you can always count on Abraham to be there to eat it, of course. So, welcome everyone. DSTL Arts has been around for 10 years. This actual year, 2023, marks a full 10 years that we have been doing programming. We actually first started our programming in 2012. Or 2013, February of 2013. The organization itself was founded in 2012, at the very end of 2012. So, there's a little bit of that overlap. The current program year, though, is officially our 10-year mark. And Conchas y Café has been around for 8 years. And that's how long Abraham has actually been working with me and offering all of the different types of programs that we've offered to our community. So, throughout this particular year, you'll see, especially on our social media, some, special little like celebrations, mini celebrations of all the work that has been created over the past 10 years. So, congratulations to the many, many poets that have come through our doors and who have been published in our zines. Go DSTL Arts. So again, today is the orientation day for Conchas y Café. Conchas y Café is a zine that we have produced, like I said, for 8 years now. That we are currently on volume 8. This particular series is going to help us develop the work that will be published in volume 8, issue number 2. Issue number 1 is actually being sent to the printer tonight, and it will be in your hands for those of you that participated last time in a few weeks. So, congratulations to all of you who have already been featured in volume 8, issue number 1. This particular orientation packet is available for you to download through Google Classroom. Google Classroom is going to be one of the main tools that we will be using as the workshop series progresses. But the orientation packet starts off with a little bit of background for you. Because this is a bilingual community writing series, that means that all of our handouts will be in Spanish, and when necessary, we will also lead part of the discussion in Spanish. For the sake of time today, we'll stick to English as our primary presentation language, pero si hay alguien en el programa que gusta usar o escribir en español, especialmente cuando están compartiendo sus ideas o sus preguntas, por favor, siéntanse cómodos con el uso del español en este programa. Also, Abraham and I both do speak and write in Spanish, read and write in Spanish. So you will be able to get feedback from us if you are using Spanish in your work. Y cualquier pregunta, como digo, aquí tienen el chat en Google Meet que pueden usar para mandar sus preguntas. Y para la gente que está viendo esta grabación luego después en YouTube, si también gustan poner un comentario en español, podemos responder en la misma idioma. To give you a quick little background on DSTL Arts, DSTL does stand for something. It is an acronym. It stands for Develop Skills and Transcend Limits Through the Arts. That is the full name of DSTL Arts. Of course, we call it DSTL Arts to make it easier on everybody. And like I said, our mission statement is to inspire, teach, and hire emerging artists from underserved communities. So that is our specialty. We do that in a number of different ways, but mostly what we do is basically teach people to tell their own stories, especially using their own words. That is one of our approaches to learning and teaching, and also one of the reasons why we do these particular kinds of workshops, because we want to empower you to tell your own story using your own words. We're not here to censor you. Even though we are going to be talking about censorship this particular series, we really want to hear directly from you what it's like to live in your community, to perceive things in the way that you do. And all of our programs do culminate in some form of publication, whether it be in a magazine or a zine. We also do anthologies once a year, and people in our Poet Artist Development Program actually have the opportunity to develop a full chapbook of either poetry or art, which we'll talk a little bit more about. One of the other things too that we really focus on is the staff and peer review process, offering constructive criticism. That's especially true for the Conchas y Café program. We'll talk a little bit about our expectations for the program, and for anyone that is enrolled in the workshop series. And that's going to be really the main reason why we use Google Meet and Google Classroom as the primary source for the program. Y aquí tienen toda la misma información en español. Como dije anterior, el paquete se puede bajar a través de Google Classroom usando el código de clase que se usa para inscribirse, para matricularse en el mismo programa. And like I said, we have our different programs. All of them do culminate in the publishing of something, whether that be a zine like the Conchas y Café zine. That one, again, at the end of the 12-week series, you will have the opportunity to submit writing that you have workshopped over the course of the 12 weeks for potential publication in the Conchas y Café zine. This time around, we're also opening it up to the larger community for people that want to submit without having to, come every single week for our lessons as well as for the workshopping. However, the people that do submit through our new submission portal, without attending the workshops, you will not have the opportunity to get feedback on your writing. So the benefit of being in the workshop series and attending every week is that, number one, you get to have all of your questions answered. And number two, you will have the opportunity to get your work reviewed by other people in the class, as well as by me and Abraham, the instructors. Art Block is the name of our relaunching podcast. It will be relaunched at the end of this month. And it is also the name of the sister zine that started 8 years ago alongside Conchas y Café zine. Art Block is our love letter to LA. So we really focus on showcasing the artwork of LA-based artists, whether that be visual art, photography, poetry, short stories, even comics. So you can definitely send us your work. We have a new annual theme that actually just launched. So, you can find out a little bit more about that on our website at dstlarts.org. Artistic Zine is another sister zine to both Conchas y Café and Art Block. Artistic Zine is specifically focused on highlighting the work of individuals on the spectrum. We very much want to celebrate our artistic artists. And we say artistic because, we just add in that little U there to indicate that they are on the spectrum. This is open to people across the country, across the United States. And there is an annual theme that is part of that particular zine. The new theme will be appearing on our website beginning in February. On February 1st is when Artistic Zine opens up its call for submissions again. Creative Impact is the merger of two different programs, and that particular program is focused on the basic exploration of social justice issues within our community. This particular year, the 2022-2023 program year, is dedicated to the concept of a decent living. Really what we're trying to do there is we're trying to explore what it means, what it requires to have an adequate, housing situation, an adequate job. What is the social contract that, could potentially be either, redone or maybe just modified within our community. You can learn more about that as well on our website. The current theme, like I said, is decent living, and there is a open call for submissions now, so you can start submitting work now that explores some of those topics. And then, of course, there's our flagship program, the Poet Artist Development Program. That specific program, like I said, has been running for 10 years. That started in February of 2013. And for the past 10 years, we have been working with emerging artists, emerging poets within LA County, publishing their work in the form of chapbooks, hosting sometimes art shows, and doing other kinds of professional development opportunities for artists that are just starting off in their careers. This particular program is also responsible for delivering the Creative Impact Workshop Series. The mentees, the students in our program, are also teaching artist interns, and they have the opportunity to teach a workshop through the Creative Impact series. Now, Conchas y Café. The Conchas y Café zine and workshop series is committing, at least on our part, to provide you with 3 12-week-long bilingual creative writing workshop series. Each one will culminate in the publishing of a new zine, and it is our commitment to the community to also have a celebration and a release party of that new zine as it comes out. So the issue 1 of volume 8 that is being sent to print now, that one will be celebrated towards the end of this month, and you will all be invited to come and listen to the artists who have been published. We also are committing to giving you constructive criticism on the work that you create through this workshop series. It really would not be a workshop without that particular aspect. So, for every session that we provide a workshop, you are then being expected to essentially bring your work, to share your work with your peers and with me and Abraham in order for you to get feedback. That is where the expectations of the program participants comes in. We want you to actively participate. That means obviously attending the workshop sessions, the lessons that we do every other week. It also means having the time or making the time to read other people's work and to provide them with critique. That's a very important component of this workshop series. Without your active engagement, other people may not benefit from having different points of view on their work. I, as an instructor, I've been teaching this for well over 10 years as a creative writing instructor. As a poet myself, I've been writing for almost 20 years, if not longer. And, there's a certain amount of insights that I can provide you, but the types of insights that you as an author, that you as a poet, as a fellow community member, your insights are equally as valuable as mine are. So that's why we're expecting everyone to really dedicate that time to the class and to your fellow classmates. We're all here to learn together. Also, it's really important that we all encourage and promote a safe learning environment that is free of judgment, bias, and prejudice. We all have our own little biases. That's sort of just how we are as human beings, but it's very important that we recognize them and that we be open to other people's ideas. That's a very valuable part of giving constructive criticism. And even if you don't necessarily agree with the criticism of your fellow classmates, that's okay. The best thing that you can do is still listen, be open to what they have to say, and take what does work for you and your writing, and work with all that you are being given, because it ultimately is a gift of time and resources that we are all offering each other here. It's also very important that you actively and openly communicate with especially me and Abraham. If you are having trouble meeting deadlines, if you are, noticing that there are other classmates that maybe are, not necessarily following or living up to the expectations that we're setting forth here. Again, it's very, very important to us that everyone feel comfortable and safe in this environment. And if at any time anyone makes you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, please let us know. You can always reach out to us individually. You can reach out to us privately. That's definitely available to you as a resource as well. Before we move on,
Luis,
I want to just
before
ask.
you move on, Luis, sorry,
Yeah.
really quick. Since we have a question on the chat, which is regarding this Tauri, I think that's her name. Just to reiterate, we must attend every single week to have our work published in this scene, correct? That's her question.
If you want to have your work reviewed, and if you want to really take advantage of the workshopping component, then we recommend that you attend every week. Of course, sometimes life happens and you may not be able to attend 1 week here and there. That's okay. Just let us know. Let us know what to expect, so that way we can make the appropriate accommodations. Also, like I said before, we're kind of opening this up a little bit more to the larger community. So if you're not able to attend the workshop series, every single session that is a lesson will be recorded and it will be live streamed once I get the live stream component working. And anyone and everyone will be able to actually submit something using Submittable. However, if anything that is submitted on Submittable has not been reviewed by us, there is a potential that we will, just say, sorry, this one won't be included. I hope that answers your question. But in short, if you're not able to make it 1 week here and there, that's perfectly fine. It's not a requirement. We're not going to penalize you by, keeping track of attendance in that way. You're welcome. Elena, did you have a question?
My question is, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you've missed anything yet.
I was actually eating my dinner, so I didn't get a chance to hear the expectations.
Okay, well, I don't think you missed anything. It was just the introductions.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for your question, Elena.
Yeah.
All right. And yeah, as Abraham says, se habla español. All right, so if there are no further questions, we'll continue on. And again, this orientation packet is available for you to download now on Google Classroom. And if at any point you have any questions, either right now during the orientation, you can put your questions in the chat, or you can always contact us afterwards using Google Classroom. Y aquí tienen las expectativas en español para los que quieran ver las expectativas en español después en el mismo paquete que se puede bajar en Google Classroom. So there are two general components to this particular workshop series. The first one is the creative writing lessons. The basically second, fourth, sixth, and eighth weeks and 10th week are a lesson. So here on the bottom, you'll see our first lesson where we'll be covering a creative writing technique is going to be next Tuesday, the 24th. For the writing workshop component, right? So the writing workshop sessions where you will be responsible for sharing your work with the group. Your homework, as we generally call it, will be due no later than the Friday before the next workshop session. So that means that if next week, next Tuesday, you attend, you're able to hear the lesson, your homework will be due on the 27th. If for some reason you're not able to attend and you're able to, watch the video that will be posted afterwards, that's still perfectly fine. As long as you send us your work by the 27th, January 27th, that should allow for enough time for everyone in the workshop in your particular cohort that you will be assigned to. That should allow them the appropriate amount of time for them to give you feedback. Then the following Tuesday after that, on the 31st, will be the writing workshop. So we will actually dedicate the entire session to giving you feedback on your work, whether that be a couple notes here and there. You can ask questions on that day. You can basically get any kind of clarification that you need from your fellow classmates who are part of your particular cohort. Everyone will be assigned a cohort that falls under either me or Abraham. We will be the leaders of the cohorts, and then you will be sharing your work with the other people in that particular cohort assignment.
Louis, I have a question.
Yes.
So my question is, did you get my submitted work from last week?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, cool.
All
Thank
right.
you.
No, thank you. So again, every other week we will have a lesson, and we will then also follow that up with a writing workshop. So again, you will be responsible to send your work to your cohort on the Friday before the next workshop session. This calendar right here does give you the dates that we anticipate having all of the workshop sessions as well as the creative writing lessons. As you can see, there will be a total of 5 lessons that we will be covering, with 5 workshopping sessions, 5 opportunities to have your writing looked at by multiple people, and obviously for you to polish it and have it ready to turn in. The final day, the very, very last day, is going to be April 4th. And on that day, that is when all the submissions will close. So that includes anybody that is either in the workshop series through Google Meet and Google Classroom. That will be, the last day for you to turn in something. That also goes for the submittable online submission manager. Which I'll discuss in a moment. But that is the very last day to turn in work that you feel is ready to be published. Now, Google Classroom and Google Workspace are 2 very important things that we use as part of this particular program. Most of you have already signed up using Google Classroom. There was a special link that required your basically signing in using a Google account. As has been stated before, you do not need a Google specific email address. You can use any email address really to register on Google Classroom. And when you do so, you also have access to Google Workspace, which includes things like Google Docs and Google Drive. Google Docs is basically like Google's version of Microsoft Word. If you're working on Apple, then it would be the equivalent to Apple Pages. It's a basic word processing app You can use Google Docs on a tablet, you can use it on a smartphone, and obviously on any web browser, whether it be a PC or a Mac-based browser. You can definitely access your work in multiple places using Google Docs. Google Drive, which is the place where all of your Google Docs will be stored, Google Drive is going to be a way for you to upload either photos or upload other image-based things that you can, share with us if you are also working in images. You will be able to submit poetry that is in visual form. There are certain size restrictions when it comes to the publication itself. We usually publish a 5 by 8 inch booklet, but aside from that, you can definitely work in images if you are more comfortable in that medium, including comics and photography. That said, if you are going to be submitting things like that, I would recommend that you reach out to us first so we can give you the right dimensions of the pages that the work would be published on. But aside from that, you can definitely play around in those mediums. In order for us to be familiarized with Google Classrooms, some of the different features that Google Classroom and Google Docs has, yes, there's an example right there that Abraham is showing. That's a 5 by 8 inch zine. That's what Conchas y Café typically looks like. In order, again, what's that?
And then it's black and white.
Yeah, the interior is black and white, yes. So, for those that have logged into Google Classroom, this is probably what you will see. For anyone that has been enrolled in previous Conchas y Café sessions series, you will probably see that. For those of you enrolled in the Poet Artist Development Program, you will likely see this. When you are enrolled and you log into Google Classroom, you click on the name of the class and then you will be led to the stream. The stream is kind of like the homepage for the class. And this is where you will see all of the announcements that are made. If you are, looking for a link for something that I might have shared, you would find it probably on the stream. Now, if you click on classwork, which is the tab that's up here at the top, this is where you will see all of the different materials that will be posted. Keep in mind that this is the last series, the last 12-week series. So here you will see, different cohort assignments and things like that. But that said, this is where you will find either the videos or the handouts that are shared as part of the workshops, as part of each week's lesson that we teach. And the stream is where you will be able to basically share a question with the whole group. If you click right here where it says announce something to your class, this little window will open up and then you can type a comment. Once you hit post, it will be made visible to everyone in the class, including me, Abraham, and all of the other classmates. So please keep in mind any messages that you want to send to us that are private, do not use this method, but this is for basically everyone to be able to take advantage of the question and the answer that we would be responding with. Sometimes if you have a question that's related to a lesson or to, how to send us your work, this is a good way for you to send in your question and for other people to have the same information that we would be presenting to you. That way there's no, mixed communication, no misunderstandings of how to do a, particular assignment request. So this is how you are able to communicate with us. Now, as far as Google Docs go and other Google-based services within Workspace, you can access it through Google Classroom. If you click on the little icon that looks like a bunch of buttons up here, this is where you will be able to find all of the different tools that you would really be able to kind of capitalize on. is having a Google account. Google Docs, if you click on there, it opens up a window with all the different types of documents that you might have created before. This right here, for example, this is a document that was created during the last particular series. And when you open up a document that you've created before, any changes that you make, they will be automatically recorded. And if you share a Google document, a Google Doc like this with me and Abraham, we will be able to see all of the changes that you make. Additionally, we will be able to read, we will be able to read comments, and we can leave comments. This is going to be one of the best ways for us to be able to provide you with feedback during the workshopping sessions. That's why we're asking that you use Google Docs as the way for us to give you comments on all of the different work that you might be creating as part of the workshop. If you notice, right, you'll see here there's already a little comment that's been made. This is how you add a comment. We recommend that when you want to leave a comment on someone's work, you highlight the section that you want to leave a comment on, and then using the little tools that pop up right here, you can either add an emoji, right? So let's say, this is a happy little emoji. This makes you happy. You can leave the little emoji there. You can also highlight something here, and you can suggest edits through the add comment button. This is where you can provide feedback.
Louis, you mean you're talking about these two?
Mm-hmm.
So are you talking about Journal of My Life and Conchas y Café, right?
Those are previous ones, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. For anyone that is not familiar with using Google Docs, a lot of things that you'll find in Google Docs, they're very similar to Microsoft Word. It's mostly just a matter of looking up here in the little toolbars. These little toolbars allow you to make, the words either bigger. Up here where the number is, that's font size. You can bold things, you can italicize them, all of that stuff. It's basically the same. Even the shortcuts, the keyboard shortcuts, if you're like me and you like to use keyboard shortcuts, those are almost identical as well. If you want to unbold, Command B. If you want to italicize, it's Command I. So it's all of the same keyboard shortcuts that you would find on Microsoft Word that, are relevant to Google Docs. On those Fridays after we teach a lesson and we're asking you to share your work with other people, if you click on the button that says share, here it will bring up a little window that shows you all of the different people that you might have shared this with. If you have already someone that who you've shared work with before, when you type in their name, it will automatically appear. You can also change the level of access that they have. You can make them either a viewer or you can make them a commenter. If you make them an editor, that means that they will be able to go in and actually change your writing. Typically, that's not what you want, but you can obviously change that here before you finalize your sharing. Once you type in the person's name or their email address within this little box here, then you hit share or done, and there will be an email that will be sent to the person letting them know that this document has been shared with them. If you're going back and updating a previous document, like let's say next week we teach a lesson, you send us work as part of your cohort, and for the following week, we review it and everything is all good. If you go back after that week to make changes to it, We won't be alerted to those changes unless you tell us the following time that we have a workshop session that you want us to look at the changes that you have made. So do be aware that we only get one notification every time something is shared. If you make changes, you have to let us know that you've made changes after we already reviewed it. Is that clear? Any questions so far? All right, thank you, Nettie. Let's see, Miss Michelle says, unfortunately, Amazon Fire 10 doesn't allow Google Meet or Google Classroom. Yeah, you can obviously use your Android phone. The Amazon tablets are really more like e-readers than they are full functioning tablets, but of course, you can always check out a tablet or a Chromebook from the library. If you do not have access to a laptop, the LA Public Library does they do have a program where you can check out laptops and also Wi-Fi hotspots, if in case you are in need of that type of access. Also, now that the weather is starting to clear up just a little bit, our mobile art lab will start to make more appearances in the community, where you'll be able to also have access to a tablet that you can borrow from us for a few weeks. So those are options for anyone that is having difficulty joining the program on a regular basis. Just reach out to us. All right. You're welcome. So again, Google Docs, this is going to be the primary way that you will be sharing your writing with us. Now, let's say you're back over here, you log into the class, you want to check your writing. You can always go back to this little icon up here that looks like a bunch of buttons. You scroll down, go to Google Docs again, and then here you can find all of the writing that you have created. This is the one document that we were just looking at. If you click on it again, you will see all of those changes that we made a minute ago. They have all been saved on this document. This includes any kind of comments that other people leave. They will still show up there as long as you leave them. If you want to clear the comments, you can check on the little check mark right there. Click on the little check mark and then it'll make it go away. Also, if you're going to be sharing any kind of image files, like I was talking about before, using Google Drive, again, hitting the little button right here, go to Google Drive, and then this is where you will find a different way of uploading documents and things like that. So you click on New up here, and then you can upload or create either a new Google Doc, or you can upload a file, like a photo or some sort of scanned PDF. You can do a file upload, and then that is also something that you will be able to share once it has been uploaded. For example, this old document right here called Abraham, right? This was a doc that Abraham had shared with me before. This was created using Microsoft Word. Abraham successfully uploaded this Microsoft Word document using Google Drive, and then he shared it with me. So if you're used to using something like Microsoft Word and you don't want to recreate your Google Doc, you can just upload that Microsoft Word document or that file onto Google Drive, and then you can share it that way. Same exact thing. Once you upload it, you hit the share button after opening the file, and then here is where you will be able to find all of the work. All of the people with whom you can share it. Okay. Is that clear for everyone? Does anyone have any questions about how to use these? All right, thank you, Nettie. And to answer your question, Roots, the Poet Artist Development Program will reopen in June. So we'll be accepting new applications in June over the summer. All right. And again, I just want to reiterate, if anybody has any questions at all after this, you're always welcome to reach out to us directly. All right.
I have a question.
Yes, Helena.
So I wanna what?
Yeah, what's your question?
So I wonder we get the book. Do you know anytime soon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a few weeks.
Like how soon?
Give me like a month and I'll make sure that it's there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Moving on. So, like I said, the workshopping is what does make this particular workshop series probably more beneficial to the people that are actively enrolled. Tips for giving constructive criticism include, always being ready to explain why you like something. And the best way that you can do that is to remember to approach all work with respect. If you want to be told why your work makes a person feel a particular way, you should really hope that they're coming to it with a lot of details, with specific moments that, really speaks to them. So it's only appropriate that you do the same, that you also approach the work with the same level of respect that they are approaching yours with. Again, just if you like it, just be prepared to explain why you like it in detail. It's also really important that constructive criticism is not about critiquing people's content, just the form, right? We don't really speak to the content of someone's writing, mostly because, whatever they write, it's what they feel is important to them. So again, approaching it with respect, even if it's content that you don't necessarily agree with 100%, be open to whatever it says and instead focus on the delivery. If it made you have questions, if it made you feel even uncomfortable, remember to self-reflect on that. Remember to think, why does that make you feel uncomfortable, or why do you disagree? And then provide your critique of the form. If it's something that is outright racist, outright homophobic, or sexist, those kinds of things we don't tolerate, because that does not create a safe and comfortable environment for people. But if it's an overly religious thing and you're not comfortable with that, really allow yourself the moment to reflect on why, and then you can share how it made you feel, and what maybe can be done to, I don't know, either capitalize on that feeling, because maybe that's what the author was going for, or what could be done to help bring you in as a reader, because sometimes that's what we need as writers. Sometimes we need to be told, what can we do to make our writing a bit more inclusive, a bit more accessible? Content is, like I said, whatever it is that people hold in their heart, that is allowable, right? That is something that is worth respecting. Again, even if we don't always agree with it. But what we can do as fellow writers who are treating each other with respect is to give insights into how the form, how the methodology that a person used is either helping or hurting the piece of writing. Again, refer to techniques or phrases or moments within a piece that really help you recognize either a theme or, help you recognize the message of the poem, right? If you do recognize a theme or a technique that's being used, you can always talk about how consistent it is. If a theme starts off strong, but then towards the end of the poem, maybe doesn't feel as heavy or as present in the piece, you can obviously draw attention to that and provide insights or provide suggestions for how to make that a little bit stronger. And of course, if you have questions, use that constructive criticism moment as a time to ask those questions of the writer. Question, Abraham? Or comment?
Oh, just to add up to what you were saying is like, so we have different levels of writers. Some that are more, what's it called, familiar with the wording or the terms for things. So they, I mean, they already know some of the words. If you don't know them, we will be introducing some of those in the class.
Mm-hmm.
So I always suggest people to have their notes of like, this is a new word that I learned, another one here, because we'll be introducing them. Usually we have that in bold letters, or we'll
Mm-hmm.
basically tell you we're emphasizing on this technique or this way of writing, right? So use those keywords when you are criticizing other people's words. So just a tip.
Correct. Yeah, and of course, like Abraham said, we will always call out a vocabulary word if we're introducing a new vocabulary word. And there might be some that you may want to come already prepared with knowing, which I actually am providing you with a list in a minute. Also, when it comes to receiving and using constructive criticism, there's sometimes going to be moments where you can agree with a person's insights and say, oh yeah, my writing could really grow in this area. Sometimes it might mean, also, there might be things that maybe aren't really for you. What a person says may not necessarily be your style of poetry. So you can always take what works for you and what doesn't. But the most important thing about, engaging in these sessions is to be attentive and engaged, right? Really proactively listen to someone. It's, again, going to come back to the concept of respect, right? If you have respect for me, you're going to actively listen to what I'm saying. Likewise, I have respect for all of you. So I am going to actively listen to what you have to say, especially if you feel like I can do things in a more efficient or in an improved way. I personally am very open to that, especially as an instructor. I think there's always opportunities for me to teach things in a better way. So at any point, you're always welcome to say, hey, maybe next time you can teach us in this way. And I'll try to figure out how we do that. Abraham is exactly the same way. I know that, that's part of what makes our working relationship work really well. So, I don't want to speak for Abraham, but I do know firsthand that Abraham is also very open to receiving feedback in that same way. It's also really important to limit the amount that you speak during your particular round of critique. So if you have your work being critiqued, try not to interject too much. Allow other people to talk. It's in them having that space to say what they need to say that you get to actually grow as a writer. That's very valuable. So don't underestimate the importance of a person's space or freedom of space to talk. Also, it's really important that you understand that any kind of question that comes up from your reviewers, they might be similar questions that your reader will have in the future. So if you're working through a piece of writing, and you recognize that there's something not working for you, but you can't exactly say what it is, but one of your readers as part of your cohort, kind of brings up a question, that might be what another reader might also have in the future, especially for those of you that are interested in potentially publishing longer pieces of writing, books, chapbooks, magazines, or whatever. If that is in your future, just keep in mind, one person has a question, there might be more that have the same question or a very similar one. So be open to those questions and be prepared to take those questions into account as you're doing your editing. A lot of the magic of poetry happens in the editing process. One of the things too that I have discovered in my time writing is that if your reviewers, if people reading your work perceive it, your audience will too. We might know each other a little bit better here. We have the benefit of kind of having other insights into each other. So as we're giving each other feedback, we might be able to pick up on certain things that other people might not be. But oftentimes, even if you are, introduced to a piece of writing or to an author's work, if there's a tension in the work, your reader will perceive it, whether you want it to be there or not. So again, the insights of other people are really, really important for your work, for the intentionality of your work. You always want to approach your work with some form of intention. So really pay attention to what it is that other people are picking up on. And also, criticism is not personal. We are not here to criticize people's beliefs, people's cultural heritage, none of that. We're here to look at their writing and to look at ways in which writing can be improved. There is no such thing as bad writing. There's only ineffective writing, ineffective art. And so, anytime that any kind of criticism comes up about your work, it's not about you as a person. It's about making the work really be its best that it can be. It's about polishing it. There is no expectation at all that you come every single week with 100% perfect work. All of us have moments where, our days are off, our writing, our rhythm might be a little bit off. So, we're all human. We're all here to essentially develop as people. And that's where, the critiquing part plays a big role. But again, this isn't personal. We are here to really just become better writers, stronger writers. We want it to be as elevated to its highest potential as possible. Now, there are, again, certain words that we tend to use often when talking about poetry or other forms of writing. Some of these also apply to other forms of art, including photography and visual art, and also, to a certain degree, comics. But I want to say that this is our shared vocabulary. Right? These are typical words that we will say during critiquing, such as metaphor, simile, line break, stanza break, enjambment. People that know me know very well that enjambment is one of my favorite things. There's also obviously repetition. There is also anaphora and epistrophe. So those are some techniques that are a little bit more, I don't want to say advanced, but they're more often used without people knowing what they're actually using. Then, of course, there's alliteration, assonance, consonance, meter, and rhyme. We won't talk about all of these right now, but at some point or another, do be aware that we will use some of these words within the critiquing process. So this little vocabulary sheet right here, it is part of the packet. You can download the packet on Google Classroom now for your reference. And I think we're getting close to the end here with the packet itself. Really, when it comes down to like working within the class, we just want to make sure that everyone feels open, comfortable, and able to communicate with us should they have any kind of questions. Definitely, though, if you have any kind of doubts, contact us. And especially contact us if you're going to be away from the program for more than a week or two. If you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, just as a courtesy, let us know, that you're going to be away. But if you're going to be gone for 3-4 weeks, that's a big chunk of the series. So just to make sure that you're okay, especially given the times that we're living right now with COVID still being a threat, just let us know. We're always more than happy to accommodate for any kind of extended absences. Obviously, if you have any program-related questions or concerns, you can always contact us directly. If you need any kind of help understanding how to use Google Classroom or Google Workspace, including Google Drive and Google Docs, definitely let us know. We can always send you some tutorials. We can try to help you through a one-on-one meeting if that's necessary. Also, if you need access to a tablet, we can potentially check one out for you out of our own backup reserves. Also, in the past, we've had some participants actually be approached by outside organizations or other community members about our programs, which is great. If you're out there and you're really enjoying being in Conchas y Café, and you're talking about it with other people, or you want something similar to Conchas y Café to come to your specific neighborhood, you're more than welcome to talk to us about it. But if someone from outside of our organization is asking questions, just redirect them to us. Talk to us first before you try to explain to them what you're doing and how our program works. I find that it's better for people to hear directly from us about how the program works and what our requirements are for offering this program than for people to get the wrong impression about DSTL Arts and what we can or cannot do. Also, kind of in that same vein, you, by being a part of our program, are representing DSTL Arts and our mission through your involvement. So, if there is any kind of negative interactions that start to affect your association with DSTL Arts, we will obviously take it into account. We'll take it seriously. If we have to do some sort of investigation, we will. It's not something that we find that we want to do very often, but just keep in mind that you are a part of our community, and we expect that everyone treat everyone else with respect, and always providing a safe and comfortable space for people to openly express themselves. Always, if you have any kind of questions, just ask. It's much easier to ask for clarification than to basically go at it blind. So definitely reach out if you have any kind of questions like that. And then as Abraham said, he is a photographer. He is a freelance photographer. I also am a freelance photographer and graphic designer outside of DSTL Arts. However, that doesn't mean that we're going to do work for free. So if you are interested in any of our creative services, whether that's as photographers or freelance writers or designers, do keep in mind that we have our rates that we charge. This program is free. You will never be charged to be a part of DSTL Arts programs or anything like that. If you are published in the Conchas y Café zine, you will get a free copy that is at no extra charge to you. If you want to buy additional copies, then that's separate. Every purchase of DSTL Arts zines does help us continue to offer this program. But again, we are freelancers outside of this. If you want to hire us for any kind of creative work, that is a very separate charge. So do keep that in mind. Basically, we want us to, we want people to understand that this is a career for us. We got to pay bills. So, and then also, we do not accept unsolicited manuscripts. We often get people asking if we are able to publish a book, like a novel, for them. We don't accept unsolicited manuscripts. If people want to be published by DSTL Arts, it's typically through one of our programs. So we would expect them to either apply for the Poet Artist Development Program, in which case we would be working on a chapbook length manuscript, not a full-length novel. That's not normally what we publish, although there may be one exception here and there. But, again, all unsolicited manuscripts will not be considered unless if they are, somehow willing to be part of our programs in one capacity or another. And for that, people can always just email me directly, and I can provide them with more information about other organizations or other community-based organizations that will potentially publish work by other authors. So, and lastly, to finish up with the packet, welcome. Welcome to the Arts Fam. That is the hashtag that we've been using for the past 10 years to refer to people in our programs. So welcome to our Arts Fam. On the screen here, you can find our email addresses so that you can reach out to us directly. Again, I am Luis Antonio Pichardo. I'm the founder and executive director of DSTL Arts, and I can be found at luis@dstlarts.org. Abraham, who is our master teaching artist, he can be found at abraham@dstlarts.org. And then Angie, our program assistant, and also one of our teaching artists, is found at Angelica, Angelica, at dstilarts.org. So you can always reach out to all of us if you have any questions about our programs or services and so on. And
Welcome to the family.
yeah, welcome to the family. Of course, if you're not following on social media, you can use at DSTL Arts on all the major ones, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that. And we're going to also visit our website very quickly here for anyone that is already prepared to start submitting work. So we're going to look at what the website looks like here. So this is dstilarts.org. This is the actual website. If you go to the homepage, you'll find up here under the programs tab more information about all the different programs, including the Poet Artist Development Program, the Creative Impact Series, which this year is focusing on the concept of a decent living. Then there's the Conchas y Café zine, so you can get more information about the zine there and the upcoming workshop dates. You can also find out about Art Blog Zine here, which is also the name of our podcast, and Artistic Zine. The Mobile Art Lab, I did mention it earlier. It is a mobile vehicle camper right now that does offer Wi-Fi and access to a large format printer scanner for people that want to reproduce artwork or zines. So this is going to be made more widely available to the community now that the weather is clearing up again. And, this is also an opportunity for a few people. I don't have a lot, but I do have a few iPads that can be checked out for a couple of weeks at a time for anyone that needs one. But if you go to the homepage and you scroll down right here, you can also find out more about our programs by clicking here or go to Current Calls for Submission. So click on Current Calls for Submission, and that little button right there will then take you to our submittable page. If only it would respond. All right, well, there's a little workaround here. Let's just go to the Conchas y Café zine one specifically. So there's the Conchas y Café zine page on our website. If you scroll down, you can find the enrollment information for the current series. That's this one on sensors as the theme. The next series, by the way, for those that are already anticipating being part of the third series this year, it starts immediately after this one on April 11th, and it will go through to the end of June. Again, there's no requirement to use a Gmail account. You can use any kind of email account to register. You can also go to our YouTube channel through the button here to check out all of the past videos. But if you go here to this little button, submission is free. If you click on Submit Now, it opens up the submission manager for all of our different zines. So let's see, sorry, wrong one. Go there. I think I need to fix this. Yeah, it looks like I need to fix it. So anyways, if you go here, submittable is free. If you have an account, you can sign in right away. Your address, phone number, all of that information will automatically be populated. If you don't have one, you click on Create an Account Now, and you'll be able to access Submittable that way. Again, this is free. You do not have to pay for anything to submit work to us or to even have a submittable account. When you click on the Submit Now button, this little button right here, Looks like it's linking to the wrong page right now, but you will see up here where it'll say Conchas y Café zine submission form. I promise I will fix that tonight after we're finished. But you will have all of the details about what the theme is, and then these are the submission guidelines. So this right here will be updated with the correct guidelines, the sizes for the visual art specifically. You'll find that will be different. So this will be a 5x8 instead of 8.5 by 11. But again, this is how you are able to currently submit work to our different zines, whether it be Art Blog Zine or Conchas y Café Zine. So you can now begin submitting work that is themed around the concept of censors or censorship. So I apologize for that not being correctly linked, but that will be fixed very, very soon. So, are there any questions or comments? Okay, Nettie, what is your question, sir? By the way, shout out to Nettie, who's coming live from Guatemala.
Sorry, I think I didn't realize I was on mute.
Yeah.
So, quick question here: has there ever been like a publication like there is like a crossword? The way I picture this is like this format of poem where there are like missing gaps in the poem, and you find the missing gaps in maybe a little crossword next to it.
Yeah, like a blackout poetry thing, right?
Oh, so there's a name for it.
Yeah, that's sometimes we introduce new techniques, and we have probably used something similar. And actually met a poet who like only does that kind of poetry for the presentations. She gets a magazine and just gets words that she likes and puts them into a poem.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be cool to workshop that. That was my question. I don't know if it's possible in this edition, but maybe.
Yeah, we'll put on the plans probably.
Yeah. Yeah, blackout poetry is specifically poetry that people actually use either whiteout or like a Sharpie marker to cover words. So they're very specifically pulling out words from other people's writing to create something new. What you're describing might be different. It might be a completely new interactive approach to poetry. So using like a cipher, or maybe like like you said, maybe a crossword puzzle where they have to fill in, the words. That sounds like a lot of fun, and that I think might be something that we actually try to do as part of the workshop. So yeah, that definitely sounds like it would be something that we can include in this upcoming series or zine.
There is already getting some extra credits.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Okay, that'll be good.
Thank you, Nettie. Ms. Lois, I see you raise your hand.
My question is, if I wanted to do a writing, say, for example, on a person's, how do you say, criticism on someone else, telling them when, where, and how to do something, would that be, you think, come under censorship?
I think that could be also a form of censorship if you're dictating to a person how to write and what to write, because that is a very clear form of sort of limiting a person's voice, which is a question that we'll be asking during this series. What does it mean to limit a person's voice, and what are the effects that has? So those will be kind of the philosophical questions.
Not so much, not all words, but maybe behavior, or you need to do this, that, or the other.
Yeah, that's all definitely a part of the concept of censorship.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of surprises on this one. It's a really
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah, you
subject.
always have surprises.
Shout out to Miss Lois, who's been with us now for several years. Still getting surprised.
Yeah.
Louise,
Yes, Elena?
I just got a new library card today.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said I got a new library card today.
Oh, congratulations.
Show it, show it, show it.
Okay.
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Nice and shiny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Says we're in there. Check my card.
Oh, wow.
wrong library.
Right.
Yeah, you even got the baby card.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Elena. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions for us? I think the only other thing that I needed to mention before I forget is next week, next Tuesday at 6:30, we'll be having our very first lesson of the series. And next week is when you will also be receiving your cohort assignments. So we will be basically assigning you either to a cohort under Abraham or a cohort led by me. And that cohort will be then the group of people with whom you will be sharing your work. So we'll kind of, explain that. If you're uncomfortable with me sharing your email address with the cohort, do let me know. We could probably come up with some sort of an alias email that people can send their work to. But obviously what will be a part of this is a little bit of contact sharing between you and the other people in the class. So, all right. Yeah, for those that were part of it last series was the first time that we tried this new approach. It seemed to work, so we will be doing the same this time around. All right.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes,
Gustavo.
Gustavo.
Thank you, everybody. And my question is, when if I share through Google Docs, if I share when I share a poem with you or poems with everybody, say for example I'll just say with Luis or Abraham, do I have to put that it's that you have the ability to edit? Edit it, or can I put just comment? Because I guess I feel uncomfortable with people like erasing stuff and but commenting is great. But do we have to put edit?
You do not have to put edit. You can always change the level of access that people have when you hit the share button. Just make sure that you do change it, because the automatic setting is to be on editor. If you do not want people to have that editing access, only the commenting access, then you need to basically change that setting.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Either way, just to be clear with everyone that is present today, when you share your work on the Friday after our first lesson, that group of people with whom you will be sharing, they will be only people here in the class that have gone through this whole process of enrolling. So it'll be a very small group. And also this particular Google Doc that you create, it'll be in your Google Docs Drive folder. And you will have access to multiple editions of it. So, if somebody edits something by accident, you can always go back to it and revert the changes. So you can change it back to the previous saved version. So none of the changes that are made will be completely permanent without your final approval, basically. But do make sure, you always change it to either comment or only use the comment button as opposed to completely changing people's writing on the document itself.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. Abraham, something to add?
Well, just gonna tell people to have a specific file, I think, in their computer, which is the
Folder.
original,
Yeah.
and then just copy and paste to the one we're gonna be working on. And again, yeah, I think it's better if just people just put comments instead of editing,
Mhm.
because we don't want anything disturbing the actual poem when we are reading it, and that'll be easier. The
Yeah.
less people messing up with your work, and then
Right.
once we are discussing it, it's easier for me to keep track. But we'll talk about it more like later too as well. So
And next week I'll review it one more time, just so that people, feel like they have enough opportunity to hear the directions, the instructions for how to share their work, especially for all of you who are new, or who are returning after a little bit of an absence. So we will cover that again next Tuesday. Any other questions or comments? No? All right. Well, again, we are available for you to, reach out to through Google Classroom. You can always use the stream on our Google Classroom to ask a question. Remember, the stream is publicly accessible, publicly in the sense of it's available to the people in this particular class. So everyone else in the class will be able to see the same information that we give to you. If you need to reach out to us privately, you can always email us directly, and we will be able to answer most questions through email that way. And, I'm really excited to see many of you returning, and I'm very, very happy to have some new people joining us. So, welcome to the Arts Fam. And I really do look forward to getting to read all of your writing. So take care, everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay warm, stay dry, stay safe, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye.